What's going on, everybody? My name is Homage, and today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to sample in Ableton Live without using a MIDI controller. The perspective of this is definitely going to be from a beginner's perspective, but if you're already used to using Ableton, stick around for the whole video because I have 4 little techniques that I want to share with you guys that are more advanced as well. Let's get into it. Real quick guys, before we get started, if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I put out new beats every day. Also, last thing guys, I'm going to be doing a sample challenge. Tell me something to sample in the comments below and I'm gonna try to sample it for my next beat making video. Literally anything you guys can think of, I'll try to sample it and do a video on it. So leave a comment below of something I should sample and let's get into it. Alright guys, so the first thing we need to start with is obviously a sample. You can pretty much sample anything you want. For this video, I'm going to be using a sample called 50 from the AG Wavy Sample Pack Volume 2. This is put out by Soul Surplus, and if you like what you hear, there's a link down below. You guys can go check out this sample pack. Some really dope stuff ranging all the way from trap to even some like wavy sounds that you could use for boom bap, so definitely check that out. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to click and drag this into a new audio track. I like to use it in clip mode. That's what this is called. If you press tab, if you're on a Mac, you can switch between these two viewpoints. I always like to bring the sample into this clip mode first. What we need to start with is we need to find the BPMs of the sample. Okay, so when you first drag it in, some of the default settings for Ableton Live are to automatically warp. So we're just going to turn that off and we're going to click play on this, and then what we're going to do is we're going to tap along. So we'll click play. Okay, and we're going to go here to tap tempo. We're just going to click along with it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So we're between an 88 and 90. You always want to round up, so I'm just gonna call it 89. Don't want to do like half weird intervals, especially if you're setting out files or selling beats. Definitely always round up to the next one. Okay, the next thing, now that we have our BPMs, we're gonna go here and we're gonna click warp, and that's basically gonna rewarp it. And then we'll go here and we want to find the beginning of the track so we can make sure everything lines up perfectly. This node right here, this little arrow, this is where Ableton thinks the track starts. In this case it should be fine, but you definitely have to play around with this. If you're sampling from vinyl or from some old records you pulled off of YouTube, then you'll definitely have to play around with that. But for the sake of this video, we're going to click that. We're just double click there, and then we're going to right click and we'll click warp from here. Or first we're going to set 1-1 here, so we'll set the 1-1 there, and then we're going to warp from here straight through. And so basically what the algorithm inside of Ableton's warp processor is, it's going to take the BPMs of the track that we selected and try to match it with the BPMs of the sample that it thinks it should. The next thing that we're going to do here is we want to make sure everything is coming in on beat. Because I'm using a sample from a pack that's put out by a producer, everything is going to line out pretty much right in sync, with a few occasional like swings and changes and things which are meant to be there. If you guys are sampling from a record, from vinyl, whatever, especially if it's like 70s or earlier, there's going to be stuff all over the place, and you kind of just have to play around with it and make sure it's on beat. So how you do that is, I like to go you could go every 4 bars, but I like to go every bar. Okay, and we're just going to double click to drop a note in there, and then we're just going to drag it to make sure it's on beat. Okay, so we'll just do that here. Make sure everything lines up perfectly. So now we have our sample laid out. We need to double check to make sure everything's on beat. So what we're going to do, we'll just click play with the metronome on. and make sure everything is on beat. When that synth comes in, that's so crazy. Okay, so everything sounds like it's on beat. The next thing I like to do is we're gonna change this to complex. Depending on your processor, you could also go to complex pro, but that's basically gonna clear up some of the weird tonal changes that might happen if you go in and try to mess with the sample. Okay, so that's basically the beginning start. Now I'm going to give you guys a few different techniques that you can use once you have your sample warped and laid out. So let's get into that part. Now we're going to switch. I like to drag it over into, I think this is called session mode. Okay, and then I'm going to listen to, we know that these 4 bars right here are that part, and then these 4 bars change. These 4 bars change, those 4 bars change. So we got 4 different parts here. This is important for laying out your song. The first technique that I like to use is just chopping. This is essentially what you would do on like a MIDI controller or an MPC. This definitely takes from like the old school era of like chopping up samples on your MPC. What we're gonna do here is we can go here and we're gonna press Command E right there. And we can just go through and chop, chop every quarter note. Okay? What this allows you to do, and why this is a cool technique, is now I can drag these into a new track and really just rearrange it. So like, let's say we like this part. I have no idea how this will sound, but we can just kind of play around with it. And let's say we want to do it backwards. We can play around with that and see how that sounds. So that's a really dope technique. You could even go even further and chop it, you know, you can really chop it as far as you want to, all the way down. I mean, you can make micro chops. So that's something really powerful that you can use. The next thing that you can do is you can reverse these. Okay, so you're just going to click on the track that you have, and you're going to click here and press reverse, and that's going to reverse that whole chop. So then I would even maybe put this here and then put that right there, so it goes super dope. That's a really good tool that you can use, and like you could even chop this down further, reverse it back. A lot of cool textures you can get out of that. The next thing you can do is you can transpose these. So you can go in here, we'll click on that track, and then right here, once we have the audio file track selected, we can click here and we can transpose that. Really ill. Okay, and then lastly, this is probably the most fun thing that you can do, is you can just change the BPMs right here, and because we warped it perfectly, everything will be in sync. Okay, so you're not going to get a sample that's out of time. So we'll go here. So let's say you're making a trap beat. You can go here and you can get the halftime feature that's in gross beat. We're going to click Command J, join that. And if you go right here, you're going to press this, that'll double time it, and then this is going to give you that halftime sound that you get from gross beat in FL. So all around, just a few different techniques that you can experiment with, guys. You know, we had chopping, we had reversing, we had transposing, we had changing the tempo, and then we also had doing the double time and the half time as well. Just some different tools that you guys can use when you're when you're chopping up samples, arranging your tracks and stuff. So hopefully this helped you guys. If you like this video, definitely leave a thumbs up, and producers, if there's stuff that you guys want me to cover in future videos, definitely leave a comment below and let me know what that is. I have a few ideas of stuff that people have already asked me, so there's going to be a lot of cool content coming in the future, but definitely let me know what you guys want to learn, and we'll see you guys soon.